tuned in to Radio Gold.
Victor Hugo's Les Misérables is an epic novel of social commentary during a defining era in French history. The novel follows the struggles of the protagonist, ex-convict Jean Valjean, who seeks to redeem himself by adopting the little servant girl, Cosette. The play covers themes of poverty, law, forgiveness, and human ethics. In 1937, Orson Welles wrote, produced, and directed a 7-part series for radio. Welles himself narrated the story and played the part of Valjean. This ambitious series co-starred Martin Gabel, Alice Frost, Frank Readick, Ray Collins, Agnes Moorehead, and Everett Sloane. Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly present the complete 7-part series of the Orson Welles adaptation for radio of Les Misérables.
So long as these problems are not solved, so long as ignorance and poverty remain on earth, these words cannot be useless.
WOR and the Mutual Network present the third of 7 broadcasts based on Victor Hugo's compelling novel, Les Misérables. Orson Welles, distinguished young author, actor, and director, plays the role of Jean Valjean in this presentation, which he has adapted especially for radio. And Mr. Welles is also heard as he reads from the book itself. Each episode pictures a development in the progress of Valjean, and last week introduced Fantine and Javert. Les Misérables, Part 3, the episode which is called The Trial.
I gave you the candlesticks that you stole from me. I have purchased your soul. I withdraw it from the spirit of perversity, and I give it to Almighty God.
So spoke the Bishop of D to a thief and a galley slave named Jean Valjean. And from the moment he left him, Jean Valjean was another man. He was Monsieur Madeleine. In time, he was the mayor of Montreux. He had sold the bishop's silver, keeping only the candlesticks. And with this money, he made more. He was established in Montreux, the owner of a great factory and a public official, a quiet, hopeful man, having but 2 thoughts: to conceal his name and to sanctify his life, to escape from men and to return to God. But a shadow had fallen across the destiny of Jean Valjean. The shadow of a man in a flat hat and a long coat, a man carrying a stick. Javert.
Monsieur Madeleine.
Yes?
Inspector Javert of the police.
Let him come in.
Yes, monsieur. This way, Inspector.
Monsieur Madeleine. Good morning, Javert. Well, what's the matter?
Your Honor, I wish to report a criminal act.
Yes, Inspector.
An inferior agent of the government has been lacking in respect to a magistrate. It's my duty to bring the fact to your knowledge.
Who is this agent?
I, monsieur.
You, Inspector?
I.
And who is the magistrate who has to complain of this agent?
You, monsieur. I came to ask you to be so kind as to discharge me.
Javert, this is absurd.
You will say that I might tender my resignation. But to resign is honorable. I must be discharged.
Javert, what's all this nonsense?
Your Honor, I have denounced you.
You have denounced me?
Yes, Your Honor, to the Prefecture of Police.
What for, Javert? As a mayor encroaching upon the constabulary?
No, monsieur. As an ex-convict.
Yes, Javert.
For a long time I suspected you. A resemblance, your immense strength, your skill as a marksman. It's strange, monsieur, but everything points to one fact. That you're a man named Jean Valjean.
What name did you say?
Jean Valjean. An old convict I saw 20 years ago when I was a galley guard at Toulon. For 8 years, his whereabouts have been unknown. Your Honor, I fancied... Well, I've done this thing. Anger determined me, and I denounced you to the prefect.
And what answer did you get?
That I was mad.
Well?
They were right.
Javert, I'm very lucky that you think so.
Yes, Your Honor, it must be so. They've found Jean Valjean.
What?
They've caught him, Your Honor. He's safe in prison.
What do you mean, Javert? Who have they caught?
Jean Valjean, Your Honor. But of course you wouldn't know.
Yes, of course. How do they know he's Jean Valjean?
Very simple, Your Honor. He looks like him. Besides, he was recognized by an old galley slave in the jail.
How did they catch him?
Stealing apples, Your Honor. He called himself Champmathieu. He'd been a pruner and he'd lived at Faverolles. Now, what was Jean Valjean? A pruner. Where? At Faverolles. It's very simple, Your Honor. The same age, the same height. When I wrote to the justice, he sent for me and brought me before the man Champmathieu.
Well?
Your Honor, truth is truth. I'm sorry for it, but that man is Jean Valjean.
Are you sure of it?
Yes, monsieur, I am sure. And now that I see the real Jean Valjean, Your Honor, I don't see how I could ever have believed anything else. I beg your pardon.
What did this man say to you?
No, he's a sly one, this Valjean. That's where I recognize him. He pretends not to understand. He puts on astonishment and plays innocent, but there's evidence. He'll be condemned.
Where is he now?
At the assizes at Arras. I've been summoned to testify.
What's the charge?
Stealing apples, Your Honor. Second offense. It's the galleys for life.
When's the trial?
Tomorrow.
When do you leave?
Tonight. As soon as I've given my testimony, I shall return.
How long will the trial last?
A day at the longest, Your Honor.
I see.
Your pardon, monsieur.
Yes? What is it?
You've forgotten, Your Honor. I must be discharged.
Javert, you're a man of honor. You may keep your place.
You can't do that. You can't do that to me.
Javert, this is a matter which concerns me alone.
You can't do it. You're a mayor and a magistrate. You've got to discharge me. I belong to the police. You're respectable. You own property, and I denounced you. Don't you know what that means?
You exaggerate your fault, Inspector. I forgive you.
You've no right to. I don't want your forgiveness. Your forgiveness, your charity, your kindness. I hate your kindness. The kindness that defends a woman of the town against a citizen, an inferior against a superior, a police agent against the mayor. I hate that kindness. It's easy to be kind. It's hard to be just. If you'd been what I thought you were, I wouldn't have been kind to you, not I, Your Honor. I've said to myself, Javert, you're a hard man, but if you ever trip, look out. Well, I've tripped. I would have broken another man. I must be broken, stripped of my uniform, driven off, disgraced. You've got to do that to me. That's what's right. I demand my discharge.
Well, Javert, let me think about it. After all, you may not be as wrong as you think. Give me your hand.
Pardon, monsieur. That must not be. The mayor doesn't give his hand to a spy. Your Honor, I will continue in the service until I'm relieved.
Now, Jean Valjean, called Madeleine, had forgotten a promise. There was a young girl, Fantine. She was sick, and the good mayor had taken her from the streets and given her to the care of an old nun in his hospital. Here Fantine lay dying, her only joy, the hope of seeing her child, her little daughter, whom she'd boarded with some innkeepers in another town. Monsieur Madeleine had promised to bring her child to her.
Monsieur Madeleine. Monsieur Madeleine. Why don't you answer?
There, Fantine, my child. Lie back.
Oh, sister, I must have been asleep. Where is he? Where's Monsieur Madeleine?
The portress told me he could not come today.
Oh, no. But he always comes. Always. Every day he comes here to the hospital to see me.
Mademoiselle Fantine, be calm. You must lie down again.
Why can't he come, sister?
My child, the mayor has gone away.
Gone away? Gone away?
Yes.
I know. He's gone for Cosette. I'm going to see her again. Remember, sister, what he said to me yesterday? Very, very soon, he said.
Yes, my child.
Oh, I am so happy. Why, I feel all well. No pain at all. I'm going to see my child again.
Yes, but you mustn't talk anymore.
It's been 5 years since I've seen her. I had to leave her with the innkeepers on the road when she was little. That was all I could do, sister. Because people talk, and I needed a job to support us. And then there was no work, and I had to do anything to pay for her board.
I know.
That's how I got in my trouble. Monsieur Madeleine was saved me from jail. And he saved me from that wicked... And taking care how he's gone to get Cosette from... And he'll bring her to me. And when Cosette comes, lie by my side in a little letter, do that, won't you?
Yes, my child.
And when she wakes and say good night, and I hear her sleep, So sweet.
Good night, my child.
Good night. Look.
There is one spectacle grander than the sea. That is the sky. There is one spectacle grander than the sky. That is the soul. Let us look into a soul. The soul of Jean Valjean, called Madeleine, the mayor of Montreux.
Jean Valjean, I gave you the candlesticks that you stole from me. I have purchased your soul. I withdraw it from perversity, and I give it to Almighty God.
They've arrested Jean Valjean. I was wrong about you. They've got Jean Valjean. They're trying him tomorrow. It's the galleys for life. They've got Jean Valjean.
Even while listening to the words of Javert, the first impulse of Jean Valjean was to drag this poor man out of prison and put himself in his place. An impulse as painful and sharp as an incision in the living flesh. But this impulse passed away.
Well, what am I afraid of? This Javert who's troubled me? That fearful instinct which follows me, that terrible bloodhound, is baffled. He's satisfied. He'll leave me in quiet. He holds his Jean Valjean fast. And I have nothing to do with it. Why interfere? It doesn't concern me. I've brought happiness to this place. I've done some good. It is God's will that I do more.
One can no more prevent the mind from returning to an idea than one can prevent the sea from coming to the shore. In the case of the sailor, this is called the tide. In the case of the guilty, this is called remorse. Fantine, remember Fantine? That poor lonely woman who longs for her child. What of her? I have promised this mother her child. Who'll keep the promise? Well, this man goes to the galleys. What of it? He's stolen. Why say he hasn't stolen? He's stolen. And for me, I remain here. I go on. Her child and the whole country is and honest. Valjean, recognize the man.
Jean Valjean. Jean Valjean. The mayor of the who feed, who is admired. Jean Valjean. They're sharing your red blouse. Him in the galleys.
This unhappy soul, though struggled 18 for him, and he also, while the olive trees were shivering in the fierce breath of the infinite, long put away the fearful chalice, dripping with shadow and running over with darkness in the star-filled depths. Who is it?
I, Monsieur Madeleine.
Well, what is it?
Monsieur Madeleine, it is just 5 o'clock.
What's that to me?
It's the cart, Monsieur.
What cart?
Did not Monsieur order a horse and cart?
No.
The driver says he has come for you. Monsieur Madeleine. Monsieur Madeleine, what shall I say?
Say it's all right. Say I'm coming. At daybreak, Jean Valjean was in the open country. The roads were bad from Montreux to Arras. When he got to the courthouse, it was night.
Monsieur Madeleine!
Yes?
Oh, Your Honor, you should have told me straight off that you're the mayor of Montreux. A place has been made for you on the bench, Your Honor. The judge begs you to enter.
Thank you.
Not at all, Your Honor. You've only to turn the brass knob of that door, and you'll find yourself in the courtroom. Good evening, Mr.
Courtroom. He waited there, listening. He was stone cold. He closed his eyes.
Dashing and dragging in the galleys.
He opened his eyes. The handle of that courtroom. Brass handle. It like a... Then courtroom.
Monsieur Madeleine?
Yes, Excellency. That's my name.
Your note was sent in to me, monsieur. Permit me to say that your presence in this court is an unexpected compliment.
Thank you.
I have not had the pleasure of Your Honor's acquaintance, but we all know, by reputation at least, Monsieur Madeleine, the distinguished mayor of Montreux. When you sit here, Monsieur Madeleine, we will resume the trial of Jean Valjean.
He did not need to look for him. He saw him. This was the man. He thought he saw himself, older, but just as he'd looked. Everything as it was 8 years before. Early in October 1815, when he left the galleys and entered the little town. He thought of his trial, played by his shadow. Judges, clerks, gendarmes, a throng of heads. He'd seen all this before. 27 years before, when Jean Valjean was tried by law for stealing a loaf of bread.
We will resume the trial of Jean Valjean. Monsieur Madeleine, the prisoner is accused of stealing ripe apples.
Your Excellency, the judge. Gentlemen, is this man? Gentlemen, the truth thief? No mere trespasser, a murderous galley slave, Jean Valjean, for which he is on trial. For robbery, committed for the gain of one, encountered in the field, convicted for the new crime.
Prisoner on your own?
No, Excellency. Didn't do it, that's all. Anything. Something to eat every day, soft ground things, that's all I...
Question of the identity.
Has the prisoner no witness? Thank you. Monsieur Chamateur, how long have you been a pruner?
His Honor is speaking to you, prisoner. Reply to him.
I don't know, monsieur. I've been a pruner for a long time. Before that, I was a wheelwright. Yes, I was a wheelwright in Paris. I earned 30 sous a day. Look here. I'm telling the truth. You have only to ask if it isn't so. Ask how stupid I am. Ask anybody. Ask! I don't know what you want of me.
Your Excellency, I beg leave to call out at this time 3 witnesses. Brevet, Cheneldieu, Cochepaille. They are convicts. They have been in the galleys with the accused.
Permission granted. Call the first witness.
Convict Brevet.
Convict Brevet!
Yes, sir.
Come forward. Convict Brevet, you have suffered infamous punishment and cannot take the oath. Prisoner Champetier, rise.
Rise, prisoner.
Brevet, look upon the prisoner. Say on your soul and conscience whether you still recognize this man as your former fellow convict, Jean Valjean.
Your Excellency, remember.
Sit down. Prisoner remains...
Cheneldieu.
Convict Cheneldieu.
Yes, Your Excellency.
Think carefully. Do you recognize this man?
Recognize him? We were on the same chain together. What's wrong, Jack? Don't you remember me?
Sit down, prisoner.
Convict Cochepaille.
Do you identify the man before you?
That's 24601. Jean Valjean, his name was.
Monsieur, you have heard the testimony of these witnesses. Have you anything to say?
I say they're liars!
Officers, enforce order! I am about to pronounce sentence on this man.
Order! Your Excellency! Half of the accused tell you about Jean Valjean.
I must grant your...
Excellency, they were right when they told you that Jean Valjean was an outlaw. It's true he was a galley slave. The convicts are right. Between Cochepaille and O'Shaughnessy, it's true he was a criminal. The pennies were stolen, and the loaf of bread. You gentlemen, galleys make the galley slave. Before the peasant, and he was changed in the galleys. He was stupid, made with the law, a firebrand. Kindness as he was law, charity.
For something, I can't relate to you the story of Jean Valjean's life. Someday you will know it. He's done what he could. He's disguised himself under another name. He has desired to enter again among honest men. It seems this cannot be. Gentlemen, your prisoner is not he who is on trial before you. Release this man. He is innocent. What is done at this moment, God beholds from on high. This man is no convict, no outlaw, no thief. Gentlemen, I am Jean Valjean.
Monsieur Madeleine is not well, officer. See his honor to my chamber.
You don't believe me? Ready, front of you, close by, look at me. Do you recognize me? Do you know who I am? Ready? Answer me.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hello, 23709. Front of you, number 21808. Your left shoulder still scarred from a burn. Answer me, is that true?
Yes, monsieur, it's true.
Close by, number 24302. There's a date in blue letters on your left arm. March 1st, 1815. Lift up your sleeve.
March 1st, 1815.
Gentlemen, you see clearly. I am Jean Valjean. You may arrest me when you choose. Good night, gentlemen.
Official order, delivered under seal. Inspector Javert will seize the body of Monsieur Madeleine, the mayor of Montreux, who has this day been identified in court as the discharged convict and criminal, Jean Valjean.
Quick, sister, let me in.
Your hair, monsieur, it is all white.
Fantine, can I see her?
Oh, have you brought back her child? Oh, monsieur, she is asleep.
I must see her tonight now. There's no time.
Monsieur Madeleine.
Oh, you have awakened her.
My dear little Fantine.
I knew you were there. I was asleep, but I saw you. I followed you with my eyes the whole night. Tell me, where is my Cosette? Sister, you said I might have her in the little bed beside me.
Not yet, my child. You still have some fever. We must cure you first.
But I'm cured. Let me see my Cosette. Isn't it natural I should want to see my child when you've been to all that trouble to get her? If you'll bring her in to see me now, I'll speak very gently.
It is better to wait, Fantine.
Oh, monsieur, only tell me, how is she? She may not know me. Children have no memories. They're like birds. You must be cold, Monsieur Madeleine, after that trip in the carriage. Oh, could they not bring her here for one little moment?
Cosette is well. Cosette is beautiful. You'll see her soon. But be quiet. Do you hear me, Fantine? What's wrong with you, child?
Monsieur, he has come for me. The policeman.
Fantine, what are you looking at?
At him. Inspector Javert.
Well, Jean Valjean?
I know what he wants, child.
Jean Valjean.
Monsieur Madeleine.
Here, there is...
Inspector, I'd like a word with you in private.
Monsieur Madeleine.
It's a request I have to
Tell
make.
you.
Inspector, this is
Monsieur
not
Madeleine.
to be heard.
Cosette! I'll never
Listen
see
to
her.
this woman. Give me just 3 days of this woman.
So clever, Jean Valjean. 3 days to get away and you tell...
My child. Madeleine, where is Cosette? My Cosette. I want my child.
Magistrates and women of the toll, this will be... There is a robber, and I've...
Fantine. 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 What's wrong with her, sister?
Requiem aeternam dona eis.
Come on.
Domine, et
Come on.
perpetua
What's wrong with her?
Lucia.
Can't you see the woman is dead?
I am at your disposal.
Requiem aeternam dona eis. Domine, et...
WOR and the Mutual Network have brought you Part 3 of Victor Hugo's absorbing masterpiece, Les Misérables, the episode which pictured the death of Fantine and the capture of the supposed Jean Valjean. Orson Welles played the roles of both the real and the supposed Valjean, and was also heard reading the narrative passages of this presentation, which he has made especially for radio. Assisting Mr. Welles were Martin Gabel as Javert, Alice Frost as Fantine, Ray Collins, Adelaide Klein, William Johnstone, and Hiram Sherman. The orchestra was under the direction of Milton Katams, who arranged the score. Next Friday evening at 10 o'clock, we shall present Les Misérables in its 4th chapter, the episode which is called Cosette. This is the Coast to Coast network of the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Let's take a short intermission. The Best of Dimension X from Radio Gold. Dimension X was the first sci-fi anthology series to utilize published stories from established science fiction authors, which gave the series an instant status of credibility to hardcore fans. Stay tuned for episode 4 of Orson Welles' Les Misérables.
So long as these problems are not solved, so long as ignorance and poverty remain on earth, these words cannot be useless.
These are the words which preface the 4th of 7 broadcasts based on Victor Hugo's great novel, Les Misérables. WOR and the Mutual Network present Orson Welles, distinguished young author, actor, and director, in an adaptation of the book which he has created especially for radio. Each episode portrays some development in the progress of Jean Valjean, a role played by Orson Welles, who is also heard reading the narrative. Les Misérables, Part 4, the episode which is called Cosette.
Jean Valjean, you are a hardened criminal and a second offender. You are charged with concealing your identity and changing your name. How do you plead?
Guilty.
You are so found by this court. Jean Valjean, you are sentenced to hard labor in the galleys under the double chain for the rest of your life.
The notebook of Inspector Javert, July 1823. I have caught Jean Valjean. In a whole lifetime of service with the police, there is no entry in this book which has occasioned me so much satisfaction. I have caught Jean Valjean. I am affixing to this page an excerpt from a recent newspaper in Paris. Here it is. The Paris Journal, July 25th, 1823. An old convict has been brought to trial called Jean Valjean. The circumstances are extraordinary. In the district of Montreux, a gentleman called Monsieur Madeleine had, in acknowledgement of his services, been appointed mayor, and as such he was famed for his wisdom and his good works. But this man has been unmasked. The police authorities, thanks chiefly to the zeal of Inspector Javert, have disclosed the true identity of Monsieur Madeleine. He is none other than the convict, Jean Valjean. It appears that previous to his arrest, this man had succeeded in withdrawing from his bank a sum amounting to more than 500,000 francs, which he had deposited there and which, it is said, he had realized in his business. Since his return to the galleys, it has been impossible to discover where this money has been concealed. This is the end of the newspaper article. I think I can guess the motive of Jean Valjean concealing this money. His hope of escape. And there's another matter. The child, Cosette. The child of the woman Fantine. It was this Fantine whom I apprehended on the streets, and who Valjean, in the character of the mayor, protected from justice, and in the compassion of one criminal for another, nursed through the illness from which she died. This child was abandoned at an early age to the care of some innkeeper. If I know Jean Valjean, the purpose of this money is the care of this child. I must find this Cosette. November 17th, 1823. Here is an excerpt from the Toulon Journal. Yesterday, a convict at work on board the galley ship Orient, on his return from rescuing a sailor, fell overboard and was drowned. His body has not been recovered. This man was registered under the number 9430, and his name is Jean Valjean. This finishes it. The case is closed. Jean Valjean is dead.
Tonight we are to consider the story of Cosette. Cosette. Fantine had left her at Montfermier with some innkeepers called the Thénardiers. The little Cosette, the child of Fantine. Jean Valjean had promised to care for Cosette. Javert never found her. Now, who were these innkeepers? These Thénardiers? This man and this woman were cunning and rage married. A hideous and terrible pair. Cosette was between them, undergoing their double pressure, like a creature who was at the same time bruised by a millstone and lacerated with pincers. The man and woman had each a different way. Cosette was beaten unmercifully. That came from the woman. She went barefoot in winter. That came from the man. A ferocious mistress, a malignant master, a rascal of the subdued order. Thénardier's code as an innkeeper is interesting.
The duty of the innkeeper is to sell to the first comer. Food, rest, light, fire, dirty linen, servants, fleas, and smiles, to charge for the open window, the closed window, the chimney corner, the sofa, the chair, the stool, the bench, the feather bed, the mattress, the straw bed. To know how much the mirror is worn and to tax that. To make the traveler pay for everything, even to the flies that his dog eats.
Cosette was their only servant. And this child of 8 did the work of a full staff. She brushed, scrubbed, swept, ran errands, lifted heavy things, puny as she was. And the moment the poor girl wearied in her back-breaking tasks, the huge figure of Madame Thénardier loomed above her, shrilling commands through the inn.
Cosette! Cosette! Oh, there you are. Well, what have you been doing? Nothing as usual. You know we need more wood for the kitchen. Get it. There, that'll teach you to waste time.
Christmas Eve, 1823. Pretty windows, candy booths, toy stores, parties, and good things to eat. Little shoes at the fireplace for Father Christmas to fill. Christmas Eve. Festivity in the little town of Montfermier. Extra work at the inn. Extra work for Cosette.
You girl, have you watered my horse?
Oh, yes, monsieur. He drank the whole bucketful.
Ah, that's a lie. He has a way of blowing off when he's not had water that I know well enough.
Get some more water, Cosette.
Excuse me, ma'am. There is no water.
Well, then go get some.
Oh, where must she go for it?
To the spring.
But it's night. It's as black as an oven.
Yes, it would take a cat to go along the streets without a lantern tonight.
She'll go. She can see. Here, mademoiselle, get a big loaf of the baker's as you come back. Here's 15 sous.
Yes, madame.
Now get along with you.
The child fled with her bucket, running as fast as she could. The night was cold, and the spring was far away. Soon, the gleam from the town disappeared, and the darkness became thicker. It was no longer Montfermier. It was open country. Dark, terrifying country. The child's heart pounded at her ribs. With their ghosts moving in the trees, time after time she faltered and started back towards the inn. But always there appeared to her the more dreadful specter of Madame Thénardier, and she went on. At length she arrived at the spring. Cosette did not take time to breathe. She felt in the darkness for a young oak, which bent over the spring, found a branch, swung herself from it, bent down, and plunged the bucket in the water. In that movement, she did not notice that her apron pocket emptied itself into the spring. The 15-sou piece fell from her dress and dropped into the water. Cosette neither saw nor heard the coin fall. She was anxious to start back at once. But the effort of filling the bucket had been so great that it was impossible for her to take a step. For on this night, this starless, terrifying Christmas night, that bucket was heavier than ever before. The woods were blacker. The wind was colder. The child tugged at the stooping weight and managed a few stumbling steps. Terror gripped her. Terror. Terror of something she couldn't see. She began to count aloud.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 1, 2, 3.
She had to go on, if only for a few steps at a time. She walked on, bending down like an old woman. The iron handle of the bucket was numbing and freezing her little wet hands. On and on, a step at a time. Madame would beat her. Madame would scream at her. Madame would whip her. All at once, the weight of the bucket was gone. A hand had caught the handle and was carrying it easily. Cosette raised her head and saw a large, dark form beside her in the gloom. And she was not afraid.
Oh, thank you, monsieur.
My child, that's a heavy bucket you're carrying there.
Yes, monsieur.
Give it to me. I'll carry it for you. Here we are. Well, it's very heavy indeed. You're a little girl for such a big bucket. How old are you?
8 years.
Have you come far this way?
From the spring in the woods.
Are you going far?
Oh, yes, monsieur. A good quarter of an hour from here.
Little girl?
Yes, monsieur.
Have you no mother?
I don't know, monsieur. I don't think I have. All the rest have one. For my part, I have none. I don't believe I ever had any.
What's your name?
Cosette.
Where do you live?
At Montfermeil.
Oh, is that where we're going?
Yes, monsieur.
Who is it that sent you out to the woods, after water, at this time of night?
Madame Thénardier.
Oh. What does she do, Madame Thénardier?
She is my mistress. She keeps the tavern.
The tavern? Well, I'm going there to lodge tonight. Show me the way.
Monsieur, we are going there. Look, we're on the main street.
How far is the inn?
We are close by it. Monsieur, may I take the bucket now?
What for?
Because if Madame Thénardier sees that if anybody else brought it for me, she will beat me.
Oh, not on Christmas, my child.
Is it Christmas, monsieur?
Oh, it's you, is it? Well, you've taken your time. Been playing, I suppose, you little beggar.
Madame, here's a gentleman who's coming to lodge.
What? Oh, monsieur, come in.
Have you a room?
My brave man, I'm sorry, but I have nothing.
Put me anywhere. In the garret or in the stable. I would pay as if I had a room.
40 sous?
Very well. 40 sous.
In advance. I don't lodge poor people for less.
I shall want some supper.
If you're prepared to pay, monsieur, very well. Oh, I forgot the bread. Cosette! Cosette!
Oh, Madame, the baker was closed.
You ought to have knocked.
I did knock, Madame, but he didn't open.
I'll find out tomorrow if that's true, and if you're lying, well, give me back the 15 sous. Come, don't you hear me? Have you lost it, or did you steal it from me? Well, answer.
It's gone, Madame. Forgive me, please, Madame.
Oh, so you lost it.
It must have slipped from my pocket at the spring. Oh, Madame, it won't ever happen again.
I should say not. I'll teach you to lose my money. Where's that whip?
No, Madame, don't whip me, please.
Madame.
Don't whip me, Madame.
Madame. I beg your pardon, but I just saw something fall out of the little girl's pocket and roll away. This may be it. Here it is.
A 20-sou piece?
Yes. Isn't that what you gave her?
Why, yes. Yes, that's it. Cosette, don't ever let that happen again. Get to work. Now, monsieur, let me show you to your room.
Late that night, the stranger went to bed. Not in the stable as he had expected, but in the best room of the inn. This courtesy on the part of the Thénardiers had, as usual, a purpose behind it. A purpose which the irritable Madame Thénardier could hardly understand.
The fool! What was in his head to protect that little monster Cosette? To pretend she lost a 20-sou piece? Think of that! That slut I wouldn't give 10 sous for.
It's very simple. It amused him. He has the right to do it if he can pay for it. Why interfere as long as he has money?
No matter what you say, I'm going to kick Cosette out of doors tomorrow.
You are indeed.
Are you leaving us already?
Yes, madame. I'm going away.
Monsieur, then, has no business in Montfermeil.
No, I have not. Do you do a good business here, madame?
So, monsieur. It is a very little place, as you see, and we have so many expenses. Why, that little girl eats us out of house and home.
What little girl?
Why, the little girl, you know, Cosette.
Well, madame, suppose you were relieved of her.
Who, Cosette? Oh, monsieur, take her, keep her, carry her, stuff her, drink her, eat her, and be blessed by all the things.
Agreed.
Really? You will take her away?
I will, immediately. Call the child.
Cosette!
Where is my bill? How much is it?
Here it is, monsieur. You owe us 23 francs.
Ah, Thénardier, what news? He's going to take that beggar Cosette off my hands. I shall go fetch her at once. Cosette!
23 francs, you said. Here you are, monsieur.
Pardon, monsieur. There is an extra charge for your candle. That will be 2 francs more. Oh, thank you, monsieur. As to the little girl, I must have some talk with you about that.
Well, your wife seems anxious enough to get rid of her.
That may be, monsieur. But I must say that I adore the girl.
What?
You wish to take our little Cosette from us. I'm afraid, monsieur, I cannot consent to that. It is true the child costs us money. It is true the child has faults, but we love her. We must all do something for God. After all, one does not give his child to the first traveler, you understand? I do not even know your name. Now, if I were to see perhaps some paper you have, a passport, perhaps?
Monsieur Thénardier, people do not take a passport to come 5 leagues from Paris. If I take Cosette, I take her. That is all. You will not know my name or my abode. You will not know where she goes. And my intention is that she shall never see you again in all her life. Do you agree? Yes or no?
In that case, monsieur, I must have 1,500 francs.
I was prepared for this. 1,500 francs. There it is.
Come along, dear. You're not frightened of me, are you? Here she is, monsieur.
Wrap yourself up, child. It's cold, and we're going away.
Wait, monsieur. My money.
I've given you 1,500 francs, Monsieur Thénardier. You have your money. Come, Cosette.
What luck, husband. He has taken the little wretch, and we have 1,500.
Ah, don't be a fool. We might have had thousands. Why did he come here for the ugly brat? Who is he? In heaven's name, who is that man?
Who was that man? He was Jean Valjean. In his fall overboard from the Orion, the sea had been kind to him. The sea had hid him from the galley guards. The sea which was supposed to have closed the case in Inspector's notebook. Number 9430 was very much alive. So Jean Valjean took Cosette away with him to Paris. Jean Valjean had never loved anything. He had never been father, lover, husband, or friend. To teach Cosette and to watch her playing was nearly all his life. And then he would talk to her about her mother and teach her to pray. It is very sweet, this grand and strange emotion of the heart in its first love. Poor old heart, so young. And for Cosette, from the first day, everything that she felt in her being loved this kind old friend. She called him father and knew him by no other name. Now, Jean Valjean was cautious. He never left the house in Paris by day. Keeping prudently to the infrequented side alleys of the neighborhood, he would walk sometimes an hour or two at nightfall. Now, there was in that district an old beggar who sat crouched on the edge of a condemned well. Those who were envious of this poor creature said he was in the pay of the police. He was an old church beadle of 75 who was always mumbling prayers. Jean Valjean never passed him without giving him a few pennies. One evening, toward the close of winter, as he was passing that way, he noticed this beggar crouched in his usual place under the street lamp. The man, according to his custom, seemed to be praying and was bent over. Jean Valjean walked up to him and put a piece of money in his hand. The beggar suddenly raised his eyes and stared into his face. Then he quickly dropped his head. It was over in a moment, but Jean Valjean shuddered. It seemed to him that he had seen by the light of the street lamp not the calm, sanctimonious face of the old beadle, but a terrible and well-known countenance. Some instinct kept Jean Valjean from speaking. He gazed at the crouching figure. The same form, the same rags as on the other day. He told himself he was mad, and he hurried home.
T-R-E-E. See the bird in the tree. T-H-E...
Cosette!
What is it, Father?
Quiet.
It's someone in the hall, Father. Who is it?
Lie down, dear. And don't talk.
He stopped, Father. He's just outside the door. Father, why are you blowing out the light? Father?
Little one, you must go to sleep.
Yes, Father. But what does he want out there?
Please, Cosette.
Yes, Father.
Put on your clothes, Cosette. Hurry.
Yes, Father. Where are we going?
I don't know.
Are we going far?
We're leaving Paris. Tonight.
Has it something to do with that man in the hall, Father? Father, what was he doing? Peeking in? Do you know him?
I know him.
What's his name, Father?
His name is Javert.
Through the sleeping city, through the narrow, silent streets, running, creeping, doubling, backing, describing 100 sly patterns in the labyrinth of back courts and alleys and passageways, ran these two hunted beings. The old convict who had been the mayor of a city, the little child who had been a slave, frightened, breathless, unspeaking, fleeing the terrible policeman, fleeing Javert. He came to a blind alley. There were high walls there. And to the left, at the corner where a street began, Jean Valjean saw a sentinel. He felt as if caught by a chain that was slowly winding up. At this moment, a muffled and regular sound began to make itself heard at some distance. Soldiers. Jean Valjean saw the gleam of their bayonets. They were coming towards him. They came slowly, stopping to examine the recesses of the walls, to search the entrances of doors and alleys. Javert led the way. There was only one thing possible. In the prison ships, the old convict had learned a strange art. The art of climbing without ladders or ropes, of supporting himself by the back of his neck, his shoulders, his hips, and his knees. The art of raising himself straight up the right angle of a wall to the height of a 6th story. Jean Valjean looked up the wall and measured the distance with his eyes. About 18 feet. The difficulty was Cosette. He needed a rope. Where could he find a rope? At midnight, on a deserted street. Then Jean Valjean saw the street lamp. Now, at that time, there were no gas lamps in the streets of Paris. The lamps were raised and lowered by cords. Traversing the street from one end to the other were these cords. The wheel on which the rope was wound was locked below the lantern in a little iron box. Jean Valjean sprang the bolt of this box, and an instant after was back at the side of Cosette. He had a rope. A half minute, and Jean Valjean was on the top of the wall. Another, and he'd pulled up Cosette. The next instant, they were safe. Safe on the other side.
Search the blind alley! He's got to be there! Search, search! He can't vanish! He can't run! He can't fly! Search for him! He's got to be there!
Father.
Yes, Cosette.
Can I talk now?
Yes, little one.
Father, where are we? What is this place?
I don't know, my child.
Father, how long will it be till Javert finds us here?
He won't find us here.
The Notebook of Inspector Javert, January 9th, 1818. This is the anniversary of Jean Valjean's escape. This is the date of my failure. This is the day when Jean Valjean eluded me and vanished almost before my eyes in a closed and guarded street. To think that this man is free, alive somewhere in the world and laughing at justice. But give justice time. I can wait. I have waited before. I can watch. Jean Valjean is my man. Someday I will catch him.
WOR and the Mutual Network have brought you Part 4 of Victor Hugo's absorbing masterpiece, Les Misérables, the episode which was called Cosette. Orson Welles, distinguished young author, actor, and director, played the role of Jean Valjean and was also heard reading the narrative passages which bound together the dramatic action. Assisting Mr. Welles were Martin Gabel as Javert, Estelle Levy as Cosette, Agnes Moorehead, Ray Collins, William Johnstone, and Hiram Sherman. Next Friday evening at 10 o'clock Eastern Daylight Saving Time, we shall present Les Misérables in its fifth phase, the episode which is called Marius. This is the Coast to Coast network of the Mutual Broadcasting System.
Of course, you know the exciting three-part conclusion is now available on the Radio Gold channel. So we'll see you over there right now, huh? Radio Gold is a 3 Nines Fine radio production. See you next time.